Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. Update: I am moving to my grandparents' house due to my parents' polyamorous lifestyle. Original post: I hate my parents being poly, and I want to stay away from my parents and live with my grandpa. I am 17 years old, and home doesn't feel like home ever since I was 10 years old. My parents like to hook up and date other couples. They started doing it since I was around 9 years old. I figured out when I was 12 years old, and I was snooping on my mom's phone. I admit it was wrong of me to do that, but I thought my mom was cheating, so I told my dad. They both sat down with me and said that while they love each other, they like to see other people. They assured they weren't getting divorced. However, it's like we stopped being a close family of 3, but it became me and my parents. When I was 11 years old, I started to be forced to be at Grandpa's 6.5 days each month. My parents started going on adult vacations with their adult friends more than we went on family vacations. It was extremely isolating. Their dates with other people took more of a priority in their lives. I remember my mom dating a dude when I was 14 years old. She was practically gone almost every other weekend. I have tried to tell them with how I felt. I just got responses like, "We love you, but we're more than just your parents. We have lives too." To an extent, I get that. I mean, the world shouldn't revolve around me, but it seems that this other life they have is more important than being around me. Despite being the kid, I've put so much in trying to spend time with my parents just to be pushed away. I did so recently, but I have given up. My dad hates going to Canada, so I asked my mom if we can take a short trip there, just the two of us. I asked her if we could do it anytime during August. She said she couldn't go since her and dad would have to go on a business trip. 2 days after that, I found out it was a lie. I was upstairs and my laptop wasn't working, so I asked if I could borrow hers. She said yes and told me it was in her bedroom. She had multiple tabs open. As I was working on the computer, I got an Instagram message saying, "We can't wait to see you and hubby on the trip." I opened it up and my heart broke. Apparently their business trip was vacation with another couple at an adult resort. I poured my heart out to my grandpa. He felt really bad for me. He told me to wait for my 18th birthday. It's 4 days from now, and I can't wait to leave this pathetic excuse of a family. How do I deal with the aftermath of my decision? Now for the top advice before reading the update. You're a child, their child, and they made you feel abandoned. You even tried to speak to them. They could have slowed down their lifestyle until you were 18 and able to move out, just so they'd have a better relationship with you, but they didn't. Go find happiness, OP, and your parents can go kick rocks. Neglect has many faces. My parents gave me everything I needed, except emotional skills. Yes, they are their own persons with their own struggles, but that doesn't change how I don't want to open up to them nowadays. Shouldn't it be obvious that abandoning your child for whatever reason leaves scars, especially in the developmental years? These were decisions OP's parents made, and they can defend them all they want. That won't rid them of the consequences. Little advice, OP. In a situation like this where your parents neglected you but didn't directly harm you, maybe just shift to a more transactional relationship with them. You don't need to pretend to be a loving family to stay in contact. Move out, remember the lessons from this so you don't repeat them with your own family one day, but keep in contact with your parents. There are a million reasons to maintain some semblance of a relationship with them going forward. You'll be glad you at least stayed on speaking terms after moving out one day. Agreed. OP, this next idea is hella underhanded. I think it would be awesome to tell your parents that they aren't satisfying your needs, and you've decided to seek fulfillment from other people, since they don't have the time or interest in understanding you. All with it sucks. Screw them. You deserve better than that. There's a quote that says, "Every child deserves a parent, but not every parent deserves a child." That quote is so true. A couple I distantly know is putting their 6-year-old son with the grandparents for a year so they can travel the world. You are experiencing what other abandoned kids experience. I say abandoned in this regard. Being a parent means putting your child first. You were not put first, but second to others. Your grandfather seems to put you first. You will need psychological therapy with a counselor who specializes in abandonment issues. If your biological parents say that you were never abandoned by pointing out physical things like being provided shelter, clothes, food, and so on, then purposely or not, they are confusing neglect with abandonment. Now for the update. Well, the situation got worse. Yesterday my mom asked me what I want to do on my birthday. I told her I am going to hang out with my friends after school. She asked about doing a party like last year. I said I would rather just kick it with my friends and go bowling. Then she asked if I wanted her and dad to take me out for breakfast. Again, I told them I wasn't interested. My wonderful dad told me to spend some time with them and think about us for once in a while. I guess I've been bottling up my emotions for a while now, and I was about to lose it any day soon. Well, I lost it there and then. I told my dad to shut the hell up. My parents were shocked. My mom admonished me for talking to my dad that way. Then I told her to shut the hell up too. I revealed that I knew about the trip. I straight up told them, I know these activities of yours are your own business, but it always seems those activities mattered more than me. Stop pretending you give a damn about me. I went up to my room. I could hear my mom crying downstairs. I packed my things, then called my grandpa to pick me up. My mom was worried and asked me where I was going. Then they both started following me outside the house. My grandpa was waiting in the driveway. My dad asked him what was going on, and my grandpa was pretty blunt and told him everything. Then he said he was disappointed in my dad. My dad started to get emotional and said to put my stuff back in the house and that we can talk about it. My grandpa said it was too late. Then my dad snapped and told him to not get involved, and what my grandpa is doing is illegal. My mom started to beg me to come back and said we can talk about this situation. I ignored her. I am chilling at my grandpa's home. It was only 5 minutes from my school, so I'm lucky in that way, I guess. Glad your grandfather picked you up and got you out of that house. Grandpa is a freaking giga Chad. OP, tell your grandpa, thanks, from the internet. You're nearly 18. The police aren't going to stop you from staying with your grandparents. I'm sorry it got worse. That they are so selfish and ridiculous that they threw away their child. They could have been responsible and could have still been parents and had their life, but they didn't choose that. Yep, the police ain't gonna do anything about someone that turns 18 in a couple of days. Yeah, and I don't think forcing OP back for a few days, using the police to trap them under the same roof for an attempt at forced reconciliation on their terms or timeline, is gonna do anything other than make OP burn the bridge when he is legally allowed to leave, and piss on the ashes. If Dad has any kind of brain cell, he'd realize that, and thus it was an empty threat. But yeah, once you're even uttering any kind of threat, you've lost. Well, I can't believe they told you to. Think about them for once, after they've been neglecting you for so long. Well, actually I can. Typically selfish people would turn that around on the victim they hurt. And yeah, I would have lost my cool too. I bet it felt satisfying to get it off your chest. I'm glad you were able to get it all out and that you could stay with your grandpa. Thank goodness for him. And thankfully it's even closer to school for you. I hope everything works out for you. There's zombies walking around, slaves to pleasure. I cannot imagine the shame I'd feel if my dad showed up to my house to pick up my son because I'd been making my alternative lifestyle a higher priority than my kid. Honestly, not sure I'd have time to feel shame. Pretty sure my father would have enough honor to just shoot me and then take my son, LOL. Exactly this. My father would summon strength he hasn't had since the late 90s to put me in my place. Absolutely horrifying to subject your child to that life. And that's before they checked out and decided they stopped giving a damn. Now for the last story. My male 30 fiance, female 30, cheated on me and left me for the guy. Her sister, female 23, lives with us or just me now. 2 weeks ago I came home from work early because my dad is very sick and I was just not feeling it that day. I found my wife in the living room with her coworker, the bartender at the restaurant she is the head chef at. They were splayed out, semi-clothed, and day wasted. So in total shock, I went back to work, haha. Long story short, she called me later and explained that she wanted to be with someone living a compatible lifestyle. That she was sorry for how it happened but she was leaving. I stayed at a friend's for the rest of the week, and when I finally came home, all of her stuff was gone and she left a note with her new address. I own the house and money is not an issue for me presently, so I'm trying to just move on. I wish she didn't cheat and I'm very angry and disappointed, but okay, can't make someone stay. The guy is, in my opinion, a freaking loser. So I guess I'm rethinking her judgment and my judgment, but I'm trying to get past that and just look to the future. So anyway, her sister lives in my in-laws suite because she just started law school. Our city is absurdly expensive. I told her she was welcome to stay. My former almost in-laws called because this was confusing to them since I had just ended the engagement. I said something to the extent of, no, that's not what happened, but it's not really important, and despite the termination of our relationship, sister was perfectly welcome to stay, and I wouldn't make anything weird. Ex is currently oscillating between going ballistic and accusing me of trying to turn her family against her, and begging me to take her back. What I'm getting from her sister is that she also asked her dad for a bunch of money so they could get a better apartment. He met new guy and went ballistic when he realized his daughter is in the process of making probably a very bad decision. He forced her to explain what happened and is apparently not speaking to her, which I guess caused her to wake the heck up. In the last 2 weeks, I've decided I would also like to be with someone with a more comparable lifestyle. I'm not going to take her back. I do want her sister to stay, because it's nice having someone around when I'm out of town. And I know her and she is a really good tenant. Is this a mistake? My ex just texted me saying she knows I want to bang her sister, so I dunno. Her sister has nothing to do with this, didn't know about the affair, and has offered to move out. Seems messy, but at the same time it feels like my ex is the messy one, and in a few months, none of this will matter. Thoughts? Now for the top advice. Would you like some Freud with that Shannon? Stop listening to any of the BS your ex is coming up with. She just wants to muddy the water and have some reason not to feel like a complete asswipe about this. And also, the more she messes with you, the more possible it is you lose any ounce of self-respect and take her back. So, stop paying any attention to her, she's just lashing out. The sister has done nothing to deserve anything other than respect, and she seems like she's a great tenant that you already know and have no issues with personally. I would extract a promise from her that she never lets your ex anywhere near your place, or a key to enter said domicile. She could be a weak point, but as long as she understands that if you find out she disrespected her tenancy with you, she's out, you should be good. The side deliciousness about this is the more you continue to just get on with her sister, the more it's going to boil her piss, which is a win in my book. Plus, you get to popcorn the crap show your ex is now involved in, with her disapproving family, which is great. I say keep her with you, and just enjoy your life. You actually came out of this on top and looking clean. You win. Seconding the ex is not allowed in the house rule. There's a chance she may find that difficult, and in that case she's welcome to move out. But at least OP is not forcing her on the streets out of spite. Yeah, so we actually already talked about that. I should have mentioned it, but I'm not the best writer. My only caveat with her staying was that her sister couldn't have a key to my section of the house. Sister's area has a separate entrance. I say in-law suite, but it's a full dwelling above my garage. Honestly, to the extent that I know my ex, I'm not worried about her doing something crazy to me. She'll text, she'll get upset, she'll hate it, but in a while, she'll accept it. I've known her for 15 years. But one reason why I'm rethinking letting her come around at all is, what hurts the most is, knowing this person I love gave in to her worst impulses. I don't want to see how her life goes. That's the worst part. I still genuinely want her to be okay, and so I have absolutely no freaking interest in watching her not be okay. So, I'm glad you brought this up. I have to think about it more carefully and not make a decision immediately. But right now, after reading what you said, I'm leaning hard towards just saying she can't be here. You know what? You seem like a nice guy. This is a super crappy situation, and I'm sorry your dad is sick on top of it. I think you're doing the right thing, and no matter what, it seems like you're being super thoughtful and considerate about it all. Keep going with those instincts, and you'll get through this eventually. I hope you find the right woman for you, and I hope your dad is okay. As a kid and teenager, I was pretty emotionally wild. Took me a long time to grow into a man who just sort of sits back and thinks about stuff. Thank you, I really do my best. I am really leaning on those qualities to get through it. Yeah dude, I hope it happens, but life is life, haha. Might die alone. He's okay. He's 82 and has lung cancer and just got COVID. He's doing well. These new strains aren't as hard on the body apparently. But you worry. Thank you for saying that, really appreciate it. If the sister is paying rent and is in good standing with tenancy, don't kick her out. If you don't have a formal lease, or even if you do, you can let her end the lease at any time with 30 days notice to be accommodating of her comfort. But in general, the sister is a business relationship, and the ex is personal. Makes sense to keep the two separate. It's always so funny to me when a woman leaves a guy who clearly has his act together. You know, things like a job, a house, a rental property, and the sensibility to not go insane when cheated on with a bartender. Do you think that bartender who's getting day wasted and sleeping with someone in a committed relationship in your house really has their act together in a comparable way? Sounds like she acknowledged you're too good for her and the trash took itself out. Oh, I went insane. I just did it privately. Unfortunately, I did yell at a coworker. I apologized today and explained. But I mean, he's clearly still not cool with me. I also got hammered a few nights in a row at my friend's place. Cried in front of his toddler when she gave me a piece of lettuce. I'm a human being. I'm pretty freaking drunk right now actually. Anyway, yeah, I know all the rules and stuff, but thank you for reiterating. Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. I finally had enough, walked out, Delivery place with no delivery drivers left now. Original post. I've spent the last 3 years delivering pizza for one of the mega chain companies, and I'm finally freaking done. Minimum wage, of course, and a flat rate delivery fee paid to the driver of $1.50. They charge you $4 for delivery, we get $1.50 of it. Most days there is nothing but a single driver and a manager trying to run a place, doing 30 plus pizzas per hour. From 11 a.m. to midnight. Closing and cleanup takes until a minimum of 2 in the morning, and I've had days where I came home past 4 early morning. Customers screaming, ranting, canceling orders all day long. Orders flooding in non-stop, all day and night. It's like living in a constant panic attack. Always stressed, always a dozen things that still need doing, and a dozen other things that nobody did. At the beginning of COVID, this store had about 16 drivers on staff. Barely adequately covered with those, but doable. Gradually lost about 2 per month to where we are now. Gigantic delivery area that they refuse to contract at all, that can't be covered by anything less than 6 drivers, double that when busy, which we are, non-stop. We've had 2 drivers all summer, which is totally insane considering we're open 7 days and 13 hours per day until a month ago. Now they have none. I've been working an average of 70 hours per week, some weeks over 90, averaging over 700 miles per week on my car. Tips have gone to rock bottom. Easily half of people don't even tip at all anymore. In the beginning of COVID, a 70-hour week was easily over $1,000 in my pocket. Since the beginning of this year, it's gradually dropped to maybe $500 max. And I'm just totally exhausted and stressed the heck out nonstop. They won't raise the wage. Franchise owner swears people are just lazy and frequently intimates that all his current employees are just lazy whiners. So, last night, 20 deliveries on the board, and I'm the only driver. Makeline is backed up at least 45 minutes, walk-in customers mostly walking out when they come in to order and see what's going on. He's working the counter for his once-per-month shift, where he mostly just screams and gets in the way, lying to customers telling them it'll be 15 minutes for their order when we're at a minimum of an hour. And he decides I'm not moving fast enough, in front of a dozen customers, all standing in the front, angry, waiting for their extremely late food. Owner, you need to goddamn run with those deliveries. People are hungry. Then say lazy duck under his breath. Had it. Done. No more. Enough. Dropped all the food I was carrying in the middle of the floor. Ran out back, cashed myself out, took my lock off my locker, emptied my stuff. Went out front, brought in the stupid company car topper and tossed it into the pile of food on the floor, and just left. No idea what he was screaming while it happened. Don't care. So finally and totally done with his and every other boss out there who acts like this and runs a business like this. It's not a business when they think this is how to run things. It's some kind of ego-stroking, half-baked hobby, and I ain't here for it anymore. On the plus side, I slept 12 hours last night for the first time in forever and feel amazing as heck today. It's like a huge lump of stress, rage, hatred, and panic has just evaporated inside. Highly recommended to all. Freaking quit. Walk on the bastard, walk out, move on. Quit. Do it. They deserve it. Now for the top comments before reading the multiple updates. I want to read some customer reviews from that night, just for shits and giggles. Oddly enough, one of the regular door dashers that picks up pretty often was there. Cool dude, clearly a mega stoner. He seemed amused at least, but most of the customers looked uncomfortable. Man, that's absolutely terrible to read. It's not much, but even though I never get delivery, I still tip 10% even going in store. No idea how it's distributed, but my hope is that it helps someone that needs it more than I do. If it's taken by management or whatever, let me know. We go to Pizza Hut, Papa John's, and Marco's pretty frequently. Sorry you had to go through that, but hope you move forward onto a better path. Worked at a Marco's. At my store, if you tipped with a card, we never saw it. Cash tips were distributed among the insiders. Honestly, even a couple bucks goes a long way. The amount of people who didn't tip on deliveries was way higher than it should be. Hey, please give us an update of how the weekend goes. Just want to hear the boss losing his mind. It would give me some much-needed serotonin. Thank you. We're now up to 4 or 5 texts and a panicky voicemail from Boss Douche. Dunno, I'm having some edibles and watching Archer and having pizza I picked up from a competitor. A well-staffed competitor, with better food. Calling you into work, as if you weren't clear enough yesterday. Like damn, you can't quit much more dramatically than that. Yeah, thought I made it pretty damn clear I was done. Now up to 4 texts and a very panicky-sounding voicemail. Still haven't responded yet. Tell the dude you're definitely coming in so he keeps pumping out those pizzas that won't be delivered. Screw him. Have a drink and giggle your butt off. LMAO, this is amazing. Now for the updates. Update the day after. The owner just texted wanting to know if I was coming in tonight, Friday night. Dude, it's Friday and you're late already. Are you coming? I got no drivers here and already over 20 deliveries sitting here. WTF. Just ignore or be a douche, trying to decide. I definitely am never going back. Update to the day after. I'll wait and post the texts if they actually get good, but so far they're almost all just repeats of, are you coming in or not? Until the last one below, it's not as good as one would hope for. Until, that is. The latest text, up to 8 now. I'm gonna freaking sue you for ruining my business and job abandonment. Don't know how that works, but I'm just high enough now to have responded. Hope your lawyer is cheap, because I worked for you cheap bastard, so you know I'm freaking broke. Free advice, don't sue poor people. We ain't got anything. Now, apparently, I'm fired. Woe is me. Sunday update. So, I'm fired, even though I quit. Don't care, but definitely filing for unemployment, since he was dumb enough to fire me via text after walking out. Can't wait for his freak out when they send through the paperwork for that. However, so I drove by this morning, thinking I'll be decent and return my uniform shirts and whatnot, try to act like an adult or whatever. And, he is closed today. Sign on the door, handwritten, that simply says, closed today due to lack of staff. Texted around to my former coworkers, and apparently his rage fits all night Friday, and all day and night Saturday, costed him 2 of his insiders and shift runners. There are only 4 left as it was, and the other daytime driver told him to go F himself, and walked out as well, midday Saturday. Dude is self-destructing, I guess, and doesn't seem to care if he torpedoes his business. Now he has absolutely no drivers, and only his store GM, and an insider, a 17-year-old who only works 10 hours a week after school, left. Oh well. Left my uniform shirts in the dumpster around the corner. Now for the full update. And how's your Thursday night going, guys? This is gonna be long. The TLDR is, he nearly gets himself arrested because he won't accept that I quit. So, got a knock on my door today, and I answer it to my former boss. Not happy about that, as I seriously dislike people just showing up at my house uninvited. Okay, what the heck? So, ex-boss, so now that you've had some time, are you ready to grow up and be a man and come back to work? Friday tomorrow, and I need my people. Me, the heck did you just say? Grow up and be a man. I quit. We're done. Go away. I don't have anything to say to you. I start to go inside, but he launches into an unbelievable rant about being closed half this week, and that's all my fault. It seems the rest of the crew followed me out, and all he has left is his general manager. He's losing money, and how is he supposed to staff a store open 100 hours a week with just him and his GM, and it's my fault for quitting. He's spending so much in DoorDash fees sending out deliveries that he is gonna go broke any minute now. Just slack-jawed disbelief. I can't believe this Nimrod won't leave me alone. He's let his staff dwindle from nearly 30 employees pre-COVID down to the last half dozen or so, and we all bailed finally as well. And this is my fault. Me, I don't give a damn. I'm not interested. I don't care. I don't know how else to tell you. Why are you here? I'm not going to work for you ever, for any reason. Go away. Ex-boss, you're just a child and a freaking coward. Get back to work. I need you there. Me, go screw yourself, and get off my property. I slam the door, head inside. He's on my front porch, banging on the door like a goddamn maniac, and my dogs are losing their minds. He's screaming and ranting at the top of his lungs, threatening to sue me for job abandonment, for ruining him and bankrupting him, and how it's my fault his kids are gonna starve and be homeless. My neighbors are starting to hear him. It's a beautiful day out, and everybody has their windows open, so it's kinda hard not to hear him. Finally, I've had enough listening to this. The poor nice old guy across the street is standing on his lawn with his next door neighbor, and they're trying to figure out what the heck is going on over here. He starts to leave at least, finally, and because I'm a petty child, as he walks away ranting, I pop the door open real quick and stick my head out and yell, your pizza sucks, and you suck if you think one driver can save your awful business. Hope you go bankrupt so I can laugh at you panhandling on the street corner in a month, you cheap asshole. That, maybe, wasn't the best idea. I slammed the door shut real quick. He ran back up, pounded on the door and started screaming some more. Probably another good 20 minutes of his noise and BS. My neighbor actually went back inside and called me. I love Bill, he's a great guy. I told him what's happening, and he just laughs his butt off. Asked if he should maybe call the police over the domestic disturbance going on at my house. I won't say I told him to do it, but I certainly didn't tell him not to. So, my former boss is standing on my front lawn right now. Blue lights from 3 police cruisers are flashing among the house as the sun sets on a lovely New England day. I'm sure he won't get arrested, although I'd love to see it. But oh my, he certainly seems all agitated. The poor cops look bored, frankly. They only talked to me for a few minutes, and I told them he's just an ex-boss that won't accept that I freaking quit. They didn't seem all that amused. Oh well, not my problem. Called one of my former coworkers, one of the others who has quit in the week since I've been gone, and it seems that ex-boss was just at his house and was yelling at him too. Freaking hell, what a douche. I'm just sitting on my deck around the side of the house, watching my ex-boss as he sheepishly tries to explain harassing an ex-employee at his home to the police. Peaceful, stress-free, and well-rested after quitting his awful job. Maybe I should wave at him. Now for more comments before the last update. It would be a damn shame if the local news picked up on this story with door cam footage. I don't know, I could definitely see it being a very entertaining piece to highlight poor working conditions and how it connects to no one wants to work. But I could also more likely see them spinning it in a way that paints OP as a bad lazy person who won't work and drove this poor innocent small business owner to snap. And suddenly this guy is getting tons of support and applications from the bootlickers who think this guy must be one of them and align with their values. Similar story in my local news about a guy who put up a sign in his storefront that was in very poor taste in my opinion about not being able to find workers. And they did an update, and he was talking about the hundreds of applications he received, and how much business he was getting after the first news piece. Might be best to just let owner run himself into the ground with no recognition. Although I still want to see that door cam footage, because it would be hilarious. Videotape it and sue him for harassment. Maybe you can leverage his behavior to get unemployment. Unemployment papers already filed, since Dum Dum fired me via text after I quit. I'm pretty sure my door camera caught it all, so we may have to see what an attorney has to say about his behavior. Don't screw up your case, but if it's funny, I bet nameless chumps on Reddit would love to see the vid. I might still have to fight it, and I damn sure will. Don't even desperately need the money, already found another, way better job, but it'll really anger him once he sees those papers come across his desk. Worth it. Like what the heck was he thinking? Being abusive would make you want to come back. How about more money and better shifts instead of being a meathead? Yeah, not too bright. Maybe if he was more of an asshole, I'd come back. Joke. More update. So, as a post below suggested, I've actually just texted a few other coworkers who have also recently quit. So far, 2 others have responded saying this guy showed up at their house. One just told him to F off, slammed the door in his face and ignored him, and the other wasn't home, but his mother answered, and he tried giving her grief over her kid quitting. Haven't yet heard back from anybody else, but yeah, looks like I'll be herding a few of us together to an attorney. They're all down for it. This is messed up. Dude can't be bothered to hire anybody for months, works his staff to death, demeans them until they walk out, and then goes to their house to be even more of an ass. Yo, this is getting fun now, for a petty prick with too much time on his hands. A keen sense of mess with me and find out, and a definite plan to call more than a few attorneys in the morning. Things just got good. He's working the counter for his once-per-month shift where he mostly just screams and gets in the way, lying to customers telling them it'll be 15 minutes for their order when we're at a minimum of an hour. He was really screwing over the OP here. I mean, I get why he wants to lie to the customers. If a customer calls and they hear it's a minimum of 1 hour wait, they're going to call a different pizza place. But who's going to tip a delivery driver who is at least 45 minutes late? After all, the pizza place said it was going to be 15 minutes, so this must be the delivery driver's fault. No wonder it was so easy to decide to just walk out. I have a coworker like that. She overpromises so she gets happy clients kissing her behind, and then it's the rest of us who have to deal with the reality. My department had a boss like that. Ended up having something like 200% annual turnover in an industry where 25% is normal. And because she overpromised, and neither she nor her staff ever delivered, our constituents, both internal and external, stopped trusting us as a department. I came on board about 6 months after she was finally driven out, and I still have to deal with cleaning up her messes with internal clients. Isn't the first lesson of business to underpromise and overdeliver? Like I'm sure a customer would be delighted to hear I can fart rainbows, but I absolutely know it's not going to happen. And I'm only going to end up disappointing them and embarrassing myself when I can't. That is absolutely rule number 1 at the business I own, and I have a 100% satisfaction rate with every customer I've ever had. It does, however, seem to me that I'm in the minority, as every other business I've ever worked at, including my day job, does exactly the opposite, and they can't understand why everyone is stressed and everything is in chaos. OP is right, his former boss is an absolute Nimrod. losing staff hand over fist and belittling the ones he had left until they too had enough. What a fantastic example of how not to run a business. I go on that sub because this was actually the normal way to run a business pre-COVID. Food service sucks. Then they fired most of their employees during 2020 instead of using the PPP loans. Then they got slammed as we were freed from lockdowns. They tried business as usual and were shocked at the walk-offs. It's been fun to watch. Shouldn't have bought that Lexus with your PPP. I have zero care to give. A lot of the small business owners I know who got the PPP loans used them the way they were intended and were genuinely concerned about their staff. But the ones who didn't, who used that money to finance personal purchases and still laid off staff and cut corners and were just general douche nozzles, infuriated me. And it's not like anyone on the ground floor watching this couldn't see it coming.